Hello there, and welcome back to the channel. Mad Mike here, and today I'd like to start a new series, and I'll probably be making regular videos for it. Maybe once a week or once every week or two, depending on the news flow. And I'm going to do some movie spotlights on films that I enjoy. They may not be perfect, but I think they're fun movies, and I think they're worth a watch. So with that, this new series is going to be just called Movie Spotlight, and we're going to dive into the first film, which is 2013's Hansel and Gretel: Witch Hunters. Now, this movie, it was kind of on the tail end of a lot of films that were coming out at the time, which was like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, and you also had Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies, where it was kind of that mesh of an older story or mixed in with some fantastical supernatural element. So the movie is supposed to be about Hansel and Gretel, who, after they killed the witch in the classic Hansel and Gretel fairy tale, they then became witch hunters and became world famous, and this is supposed to pick up, I believe it is 15 to 20 years after they kill the original witch. And you have Jeremy Renner, who most know as Hawkeye from the MCU, playing Hansel, and Gemma Arterton, who many people would probably remember from the remake of Clash of the Titans with Sam Worthington. She plays Gretel. And then you also have Famke Janssen, who plays the evil witch Muriel. And again, most people would remember her probably from her role as Jean Grey in the older X-Men films, and her pop-ups on a few other different franchises over time. Taken, actually, another one, where she plays the Liam Neeson's wife. And really, when you look back at this movie now, this movie was not really that successful. It was kind of, at the time, it was kind of just glazed over. It wasn't really something that many people went to see, despite Jeremy Renner at the time, who was coming off his first starring role as Hawkeye in the Avengers a year earlier, and he still had some cred because of The Hurt Locker and some other films that he had been in. I think this was also not long after his the Bourne movie that he starred in, the Bourne Legacy. But unfortunately, the movie, as I remember, it did not do well. It came out in January, which, as we all kind of know, is usually it's either a crap release month for films or it's for Oscar bait, really. But this is kind of one of those diamonds in the rough, at least for me, because it's one of those movies that if you like kind of cheesy action, you're not really married to the idea of seriousness. If you like kind of that snarky characteristic, this is a great movie. The chemistry between the on-screen relationship and banter between Gemma Arterton and Jeremy Renner is great. They have a great they have great backs and forths in this movie. The other thing is, if you like comic over-the-top violence, this is another movie for you, where you have you got exploding heads, you got people getting bones crushed, people getting shot, just some people exploding, just a bunch of insane stuff. The makeup effects for the witches are actually very well done, despite the fact, and the CGI is not terrible, although I will say it's not that great, especially in some scenes. But given the film probably had a relatively low budget, that's not really that surprising. But here's the thing: if you enjoy actiony type movies with kind of that snarky dialogue, you'll like Hansel and Gretel: Witch Hunters. And it's got a lot of really that kind of off color, like tonal stuff, where it should be a lot dark. With the amount of violence, it should be a lot darker than it is, but it plays a lot of it for laughs. There's a specific scene in the movie which I won't give too much away, but it's very gross, but it's a scene where there's a lot of splatter, and basically Jeremy Renner's character pulls this person in front of him when he realizes what's about to happen, and this guy gets covered in the whole mess, and Jeremy Renner's all clean, but like he's just kind of like, okay, I've seen this before. I'm not dealing with this. They act kind of like, oh, they're the grizzled veterans, and they kind of know what's going on. And the supporting cast is not bad either. There's can't remember his name off the top of my head. The actor, he plays a character named Ben, and basically he's kind of their he's a groupie essentially, where he has followed their exploits for many years, and he's kind of been following them around. And they even say that he's a stalker. Um, and again, the humor in it is played up actually very well, especially if you have kind of a sick sense of humor. And really, it's a film that I think is not necessarily underappreciated, but it's missed by a lot of people. And it's a great guilty pleasure movie, especially for me. I'm somebody that I can enjoy cheese just as much as I can enjoy the finer films, Academy Award winners and stuff like that. I can enjoy some of those movies just as much as I can enjoy the cheese fests. But really, just to play it up, I mean, Jeremy Renner really does, even though they spend a lot of time on Gemma Arterton, I think Jeremy Renner ultimately steals this show because of the way that his character acts and the way that he does stuff in the movie. He definitely has somewhat of the better action set pieces in the film, and there's some really good scenes, especially during the climax of the film, where they have some very creative ways of murdering the living hell out of witches. And again, it's a movie. I feel like it's not that long. It's only about an hour and a half. It's well worth a watch. I don't think it's on Netflix anymore. I know it used to be. But if you can pick it up on a streaming service, or if you can rent it for free off Comcast or something like that, I'd recommend it. I personally have it on Blu-ray, but that's just me because I have to own movies that I like on Blu-ray just for my DVD collection. But that's the thing, is I'm not going to recommend a film on here that I haven't personally bought myself. Because if I'm willing to spend money on it, then I should be willing to recommend it to others. Maybe not even to spend money on it, but just to watch it. So that's just a really quick one there. I hope to do more of these in the future. And once again, thank you very much for listening. In the comments, tell me what you think. If you want to see this movie, if you don't want to see it, and any of your guilty pleasure movies, or any movies that you might want to bring up that maybe I haven't seen. Just put it down in the comments. Leave a like on the video, hit the bell for notifications, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?